Please forgive me if I pronounce your name wrong in advance. But thank you for your guidance and your assistance, Ann and Michelle. The slate of officers being recommended by the nominating committee for the election calendar year 2023 is as follows. Chair Jeffrey Lepwood, Vice Chair Jennifer Liptak, Secretary Senator James Brewster, and Treasurer Anna Gordon. In addition to these officers, the nominating committee is recommending the election for the following staff members: Peter Shank as Assistant Treasurer, Michael Cetra, Diane Williamson, Julie Leisener, Catherine Lucas, and Ann Arendes for Assistant Secretaries.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, I just want to take a moment to thank the board for its continued confidence in me. It's humbling, and I really appreciate the fact that we have such a fantastic board. We think about where we were 10 years ago versus where we are now with this system and the oversight that this board has provided. I'm honored, and I really appreciate everybody's continued confidence. I look forward to another year working with you. Thank you all. Okay, with that, there being no other business, we'll adjourn the annual meeting and we'll move on to the regular board meeting. Officially called to order and ask for approval of the minutes of the November 17th, 2022 meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. And with that, we'll have a report of our Chief Executive Officer, Kathleen Keltner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Belated Happy New Year. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. May I please have a moment of silence for the following retired employees who've passed away since last we met. Assistant Payroll Specialist Constance DeFrancis. Automotive Mechanics Philip Cardone and Wendell Poindexter. Automotive Repair Person Donald Ume. Garage Foreman Herbert Bland Jr. Information Coordinator Charles Martier. Maintenance Persons Joseph Azaza Sr. and Logan Ridgely. Off-board Fare Collector Catherine Lee Bush. Operators Philip Narcissi and Charles Watt. Service Person Thomas McGee. Structures Supervisor Howard Matthews Jr. Traffic Surveyor Patricia Murray, and Truck Repair Person Willie Rigney Jr. Thank you, and welcome to our first board meeting of 2023. Now, new beginnings are my favorite, which I probably would not have said in 21 or 22, but here we are, and we are ready for new beginnings. We do our reflecting at the end of each year. We look back on what we've accomplished and what could use a little more attention and care. But beginnings hold so much promise and so much wonder. It's opportunity and it's potential. It's a time to look ahead at what's to come and to think about and define our goals. Beginnings hold so much excitement and possibility. Now, if the last few years have taught me anything, it's we can't anticipate everything we'll face in the year ahead. But we can plan to reduce uncertainty, make efficient use of our resources, and be better suited to accomplish our goals, whatever we face. As Vice Chair Liptak said at our committee meetings last week, 2023 will be as much about getting back to basics as it is about focusing on our future. We are focusing on improving our user experience, service reliability, on-time performance, and our out-of-service numbers. Now, we know that we earn public trust by not just being fiscally responsible and honest, but making sure that we're doing the best we can and we're doing what we say we're going to do day in and day out. Like almost every other transit agency in the country, we continue to experience workforce shortages, partially due to the pandemic and to the shifting work world. As a result, we have been forced to reduce scheduled service so we can reliably fill trips every day. The contract that we make with our passengers is a schedule that we publish. It's our obligation to fulfill that schedule. To bring in more candidates, fill open positions, and increase service, we've enhanced some less restrictive hiring practices focused on why we do what we do in the hiring practice, And we've begun to offer incentives and bonuses to new employees. And I want to thank our HR group. We've had the largest class start this week of operators. Oh, wow. In recent years, definitely in the time since I've been here in the 5 years. We look forward to them joining the workforce with our excellent partnership with ATU. Good morning, President Nicotero. And we look forward to getting more folks into as we refine these practices throughout the year. Now, while our operations team is focusing on our basics, our planning team is looking at some major changes for our future. We are presenting a variety of proposals in the next few months on how our buses navigate through downtown. That'll be next month. I've often said I love waving at buses, but I don't love waving at 8 in a row. I really do, but I know nobody else does. We'll be reviewing where all 96 of our routes go for a comprehensive network reboot, what roads they take to get there, what communities they serve, and the best ways to connect them all with the first full-scale bus network redesign in more than a decade. Now, remember, Pittsburgh is bumpy. There's going to be places we just can't go, but it is time to connect folks where they want to go and not where we think they wanted to go 15 years back. And I'm really excited. It's going to be a lot of work planning, folks, but I know that we are up to it, and I can't think of any better team to tackle this. So that's an exciting program we have coming up. We'll be looking at new transit modes that will connect our communities like never before. Construction on the downtown phase of BRT will move forward. We are advancing a study to add a station to the East Busway. We're expanding mobile ticketing across our entire system, and we'll look at other ways to modernize fares, including fare capping and contactless payments. We're looking to simplify detours for major events. So, you know, if we're detoured downtown, we're always here and you can get your bus. Easier for operators, easier for patrons, and easier for our partners at the city and the county when they need to know where we're going to be. After years of planning, we're rolling out disruption management systems. We've already started testing them this month to improve and expedite the way we handle planned and emergency detours, removes so-called ghost buses from our system, and provides more information in less time. In the fall, you'll start seeing our 60-foot diesel buses replaced with 60-foot battery electric buses. And we're kicking off the process to replace our rail cars. Again, our oldest rail cars came in when Doves Cry was a #1 song. I love that song. I wouldn't want it to be my car. So we're looking forward to anchoring our rail fleet to a newer version, maybe something by Lizzo. That would be cool. We also plan on being in Harrisburg throughout the year to talk about the importance of what we do and why public transit needs to be funded appropriately across the Commonwealth. Make no mistake, even if you don't ride the system, you use it, you benefit from it. We are an economic engine, and we will continue to make that case. Finally, we will continue to roll out our strategic plan throughout the agency to ensure we're all on the same page, not just now, but for years to come as we fulfill the goals of our 25-year Next Transit Plan. Wow, the last few years have been a bit rough, not going to lie, but we remain hopeful for a better future. And maybe that's really what the start of a new year means. We continue to strive to be a best-in-class transit system and position ourselves as a leading agency by making fair and equitable decisions, putting innovation at the forefront, maintaining public trust and confidence, investing in and supporting our employees, and serving riders and businesses across Allegheny County. And we don't want to be best in class just to be best in class. We want to be best in class because Allegheny County deserves it. Unless there's any questions, sir, that concludes my remarks.
Any questions from the board? Catherine,
Thank you, Mr.
excited
Chair.
about 31 new people. That's big.
Yeah, it definitely is.
And I would also say we're pretty excited about Governor Shapiro's commitment to transportation that he's already indicated. So between that and our county executive commitment, a lot of good things ahead. Okay, with that, we'll go to the report of the Performance and Oversight Committee from the Chair, Michelle Zemanek.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. The Performance Oversight Committee met last week, and I have 5 resolutions for your consideration. The committee first reviewed our 4 procurement items, one of which was a revenue contract, and determined the bids to be in accordance with PRT's procurement policies and procedures. The price is fair and reasonable, the bidders to be responsible, and the bids responsive. The Performance Oversight Committee recommends the award of bids listed in the resolution for the total amount of $1,051,571.80. My fellow members, I respectfully request that the board approve this resolution.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries.
The second resolution is to authorize PRT to enter into easement agreements with the Borough of Edgewood for the bus stop improvements project. PRT intends to make certain improvements at 2 bus stops, inbound and outbound, in the Edgewood Borough. In order to complete and maintain the project, PRT requires from the borough certain temporary construction and permanent maintenance, as well as access easements at the bus stop locations. This resolution authorizes PRT to enter into the easement agreements with the Borough of Edgewood to proceed with the project. My fellow members, I respectfully request the board approve this motion.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
The next resolution is to authorize settlement of a public liability claim. An accident occurred involving a PRT Way Department pickup truck and a private automobile on May 27th, 2020. The operator of the automobile submitted a personal injury claim and filed a lawsuit against PRT seeking monetary recovery for the alleged injuries from the accident. The parties have reached an amicable agreement. This resolution authorizes a settlement payment in the amount of not to exceed $145,000 with no admission of guilt or liability by PRT to fully and finally settle the claim. My fellow members, I respectfully request the board approve this resolution.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that carries.
The next resolution is to award a general construction contract and an electrical construction contract for the East Liberty and Wilkinsburg Electrical Upgrades Project. PRT is seeking to upgrade the East Liberty Bus Garage and Wilkinsburg Park and Ride Lot with battery electric bus charging infrastructure. Bid documents were prepared and advertised. 1 bid was received for the general construction contract and 4 bids were received for the electrical contract. After review of the bids, it has been determined that Mercedes Construction Company for the general construction and Wellington Power Corporation for the electrical construction contract are the lowest bids from responsible bidders meeting PRT's requirements for the contracts. The Performance Oversight Committee recommends awarding the general construction contract to Mercedes Construction Company in the amount of $3,388,000 and awarding the electrical construction contract to Wellington Power Corporation in the amount of $14,423,597, subject to contractors completing all pre-award requirements. My fellow members, I respectfully request the board approve this resolution.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Anyone? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
The final resolution is to authorize PRT to enter into agreements with a pool of firms for construction management and program management services. Services include the categories of bridges, heavy and highway, garage and facility, rail and systems, and program management. The highest rated proposers for each category in ranking order were CDR McGuire Incorporated, Hill International Incorporated, SAI Consulting Engineers Incorporated, and TRC Engineers Incorporated for the bridges and heavy highway category, Hill International, SAI Consulting, WSP USA Incorporated, and Parsons Transportation Group Incorporated for the garage and facility category. SAI Consulting, Hill International, Parsons and WSP for rail and systems category, and Urban Engineers Incorporated, CDR McGuire Incorporated, and Parsons for the program management category. The total not to exceed amount for services is $50 million and is to be allocated on an as-needed basis through task-specific work orders. Agreements will be for a 3-year period with the option to extend the term of agreements up to 2 additional years at the sole discretion of PRT. The Performance Oversight Committee recommends PRT entering into agreements with the aforementioned firms in their respective categories. My fellow members, I respectfully request the board to approve this resolution.
May I have a motion? Okay,
So moved.
okay. I'll take that as a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That concludes my report of Performance Oversight Committee.
Thanks, Michelle. Okay, with that, we'll move on to the report of the Planning and Stakeholder Relations Committee. John, did you find your way back? John? Huh. Okay, we'll hold that. We'll see if John shows up. Okay, we'll move on to the report of Finance Committee from our Chair, Anna Gork.
Good morning, Chair and fellow board members. The Finance Committee met last week and I have two resolutions for your consideration. The first resolution is authorization to apply for and enter into grant agreements for calendar year 2023 operating and capital funds. PRT applies for and enters into grants at a federal, state, and local level. In many instances, the grants have tight deadlines for submission. This resolution would pre-authorize PRT to submit grant applications that become available in calendar year 2023, including an upcoming $150 million federal Small Starts grant for the Bus Rapid Transit Project. This resolution further requires staff to regularly report to the Finance Committee on grants that have been applied for and entered. My fellow members, I request approval of this resolution.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries.
Second resolution is seeking authorization to amend an agreement with Bank of America, N.A. to provide merchant card services related to automatic fare collection services. In January 2015, PRT issued a request for proposals to obtain services of a firm to provide merchant card services. These services include debit and credit card processing related to the automated fare collection system and service center. In June 2015, PRT's board authorized a 5-year agreement with Bank of America for a not to exceed amount of $2,500,000. The agreement also included 5 additional option years at PRT's sole discretion. The agreement became effective in February 2017. In January 2022, PRT's board authorized or approved a resolution exercising the first option year with Bank of America and increasing the not to exceed amount to $3,162,439. To date, the services provided by Bank of America have been satisfactory. This resolution would exercise the second option year and will extend the agreement to January 30th, 2024 and increase the not to exceed amount to $3,777,439. The November, sorry.
Motion?
Yes, thank you.
Can I have a motion? Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. You
Thank
see,
you.
and we pay attention.
Now, thank you.
Now you want to give the review of the financials?
I would like to do that, yes. The November and December financial results were also presented at last week's meeting. It was reported that total operating income for the month of November was under budget by $88,521 million. Is that, I think that's a typo, 88,521,000?
Yeah.
Thousand, okay, thank you. And $1.8 million under budget for the fiscal year due to lower passenger revenue and access shared ride revenue. November operating expenses were below budget for the month and year to date by $3.9 million and $21.5 million respectively, principally due to lower salary and wages and benefits due to vacant positions and lower purchase services. For the month of December, total income was $775,769 below budget and $2.56 million below budget at mid-year. However, total operating income is $2.5 million higher than last fiscal year, principally due to higher passenger revenues and interest income. Total expenses for the month of December were $5.3 million below budget and $26.7 million below budget at mid-year due to lower wages, benefits, purchase services, and other expenses. Total subsidy at mid-year is $3 million below budget due to lower ARPA invoicing, which will normalize by year end. Finally, it was reported that PRT ended the month of December with approximately $141.5 million in cash reserves. Mr. Chairman, unless there are any other questions or comments, that concludes my report.
Any questions? Okay, thanks, and with that, John, you're back. You okay? Everything good? You're on mute.
Yes, everything's fine. Thanks a lot, Jeff. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, fellow board members and stakeholders. The Planning and Stakeholders Relations Committee met last week. I have a few items for the board. First, Section Manager of Service Development, Ellie Newman, presented the FY 2022 Annual Service Report presentation. The report evaluated PRT's performance against previously set service standards, looking at ridership, overcrowding, and on-time performance for the fiscal year between July 2021 and June 2022. Ridership increased by double digits over FY21, with more than 32 million riders. Bus ridership increased 42%. Light rail ridership increased 51%. Incline ridership increased 67%. And access paratransit ridership increased by 27%. Bus on-time performance showed small dips due to construction-related delays and increased ridership and traffic. Rail on-time performance dropped slightly, mainly due to the Red Line detour that lasted for several months due to the bridge infrastructure issue. PRT has increased coverage on service over the last 5 years, and all day service now covers 59% of jobs and 48% of the population of Allegheny County. Based on service standards, 10 routes were out of compliance for frequency, 79 routes were out of compliance for on-time performance, and 97 routes were out of compliance for passengers per hour. During the Title VI evaluation, it was found that the minority routes and low-income routes are more likely to be crowded, which will be addressed with larger vehicles and added trips where feasible. For FY23, on-time performance continues to be a focus. New transit service standards will be developed this spring, reflecting post-pandemic realities, set a realistic minimum performance levels for all routes. PRT also received a grant to study its transit routes post-pandemic and make adjustments to allow service to continue to be efficient, effective, and equitable. That study should kick off in the summer of 2023. Second item, the Director of Transit Scheduling, Philip St. Pierre, provided a presentation on the February 19th, 2023 service changes. Due to updated collective bargaining agreement with the union, PRT has changed from quarterly service changes to 3 service changes per year, which will be in February, June, and October, leaving more time between service changes for analysis. Service changes generally include running time adjustments, frequency changes, route changes, and trip adjustments to help performance. For the February 19th service changes, 14 routes will see running times adjustments to improve on-time performance and reliability, while 5 routes will see weekday adjustments. Weekday frequency changes are being made for 2 routes due to the discontinuation of the lease agreement by the Century 3 Mall property owners. That park and ride will no longer be operational. On February 6th, 3 routes will be adjusted to bypass the former park and ride at that location. 2 routes will also return to the original routing after being an extended detour to the closure of the Fern Hollow Bridge, which reopened to traffic in late December. And 1 route, the P69, reversed a loop in Trafford to match other routing. Trip times will be adjusted for 16 routes, including the reduction of published time points for some paper, and online schedules. While those stops may not appear on the schedules, this does not affect the service, and those stops will continue to be in use. Third item, Chief Development Officer David Huffaker then presented a brief update on the public comment period for the BRT service changes. In November, the board authorized opening a public comment period for the proposed BRT major service changes. The comment period runs from December 1st through February 1st. An informational session was held on January to update the public on those changes, and 3 public hearings were held on January 18th, with speakers addressing comments to PRT. Once the public comment period is closed, a report will be drafted in February. To date, there have been well over 100 comments submitted through various means. The fourth item is the Allegheny County Transit Council met on January 25th. Amy Silverman, PRT Director of Planning and Service Development, presented the annual service report. Philip St. Pierre, PRT Director of Transit Scheduling, briefed the council on the February service changes. The next monthly meeting is scheduled for February 22nd. And the fifth and final item, the Committee of Accessible Transportation did not meet in January. The next quarterly meeting is scheduled for February 2nd. Mr. Chairman, unless there are any other questions, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Are there any questions from Mr. Tegg? Okay, thanks, John. With that, we'll move on to the report of Technology Committee from Jen Liptakich, Chair.
Thank you, Chairman Gladwin. Good morning. The Technology Committee met on Thursday, January 19th, and I have one resolution for consideration today. The committee reviewed 2 procurement items to be purchased from the CoStar state schedule under 2 separate contracts. Those purchases are for firewall replacement and hardware and software installation configuration. The committee determined both of these items to be in accordance with the PRT's procurement policies and procedures. The price is to be fair and reasonable and consistent with the funds budgeted. Therefore, the Technology Committee recommends approval of these items as submitted in a total amount of $1,005,929.98. With that, I ask for a motion to approve.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
I take that as a second. Any discussion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries.
Thank you, Chairman Letwin. I'd like to thank the board for their vote of confidence to elect me once again as vice chair. So thank you very much to the nominating committee and members for your vote. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Jen. With that, we'll move on to the report of the Financial Audit Committee from its chair, Senator Jim Brewster.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Financial Audit Committee met on Thursday, January 19th, 2023. Representatives from Mayor Duzel, certified public accountants, reported to the committee that the audit of financial statements for PRT's 2022 fiscal year was performed in accordance with government auditing standards and found no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses noted. It was reported that PRT ended fiscal year 2022 with revenues exceeding expenses by $3.7 million before non-cash item adjustments for other post-employment benefits, pensions, leases, and depreciations, and with the use of ARPA funding. It was also reported at the meeting that the combined deferred revenue over the past 11 fiscal years totaled $160 million after accounting for non-cash entries related to post-employment benefits, pensions, leases, and depreciation. PRT's total net position increased $39.9 million, mainly due to a decrease in net pension liability. Following Mayor Duzel's report, a resolution was presented recommending the board approve the fiscal year 2022 audit report and authorize the chair of the PRT's board and the chair of the Financial Audit Committee to sign the final report confirming PRT's acceptance. Subject to any questions from members, the committee recommends the board approve the resolution accepting fiscal year 2022 audit report. I might add, Mr. Chairman, that Peter Schenk's facilitation of the audit on behalf of PRT was instrumental in getting it done expeditiously, along with Mayor Duzel. My fellow members, I respectfully request the board approve the resolution.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Okay, then I may have a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
I take that as a second as well. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Thank you, Senator. Okay, with that, we have some new business. The appointment of the board standing committee chairs and members. There are several standing committees of the board created to assist the board in dealing with specific areas of our business. And each year we appoint the members who will serve on the standing committee. And my appointments to the standing committees and chairs are as follows. Financial Audit Committee, Senator Jim Brewster, Chair, John Tague, Member. Finance Committee, Ann O'Gork, Chair, Jennifer Lipdak, and Representative Nick Piscatano, members. Governance Committee, myself as Chair, Jen Lipdak, Ann O'Gork, John Tague, and Michelle Zemanek as members. The Performance and Oversight Monitoring Committee, Michelle Zemanek as Chair, Representative Nick Piscatano and Lori Mizgorski as members. And the Planning and Stakeholders Committee, John Tague as Chair, Ann O'Gork, Stephen Thurman, and Ally Doyle as members. And the Technology Committee, Jennifer Lipdak as Chair and Lori Mizgorski members. I want to thank those board members who served on the standing committees in 2022 for their time and important work they've done, and it's greatly appreciated. Thanks also goes to the board members who will be chairing and serving on the standing committees in 2023. And with that, is there any other new business? Okay, we have two individuals for public comment. First is Ralph Williams, President of Allegheny County Transit Council. Mr. Williams, I don't see you in the room, so are you on the virtual?
Yes,
There you go.
I
Okay.
am. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's great to be here. Happy New Year to everybody. And it's great to see President Nicotero from the Local 85 in the audience here. And also, I want to congratulate on the new contract. Secondly, my main reason for being here today is I understand that the ridership is up at PRT. But the thing that really bothers me is we still have this issue with some of these operators that are still not here or not working because of the COVID situation. You know, this stuff shouldn't really have to go on. If PRT would please get these experienced drivers out on the road. We need them there because if the ridership is going to increase and you can't handle these routes, and we have to keep taking buses out of service, and we have to continue to keep people waiting, this is going to become more and more of a problem. And the ridership that has gone up is going to go down. People are going to start losing confidence again in PRT. They're gaining confidence. You're getting ridership increase. Let's keep it going without a lot of this stuff that's going on. And in order for you to do that, you have to get some of these experienced drivers out on the road. Because, and I'm going to say it time and time again, I know you have a lot of new drivers coming in. CEO Kellerman said that there's a new class with the most of new hires. That's great. That's terrific. Okay. But experience is what counts. And when you don't have the experience out there, this becomes a problem. And I know we're not perfect. And I know that and you're right, Mr. Lewin, this system is working better now than it has 8 years ago. And things have gone a long way with this. I've seen it go on. Okay. And I appreciate that. But what we need to do is to finish up so that this board and the PRT does not have egg on their face anymore. They need to start getting some of these drivers back. So lawsuits from drivers and operators and things like that do not happen. And they should not have to happen. I urge you to work with the union and get this done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Our next speaker is Maris Paris. Maris, are you online? Okay, going once. In place. Okay, with that, the next regular meeting is Friday, February 24th, and we will stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody.